My fellow flames, welcome back to another Wuthering Waves video. My name is Amethyst, and today we're going to be talking about 3.0 versus 2.0. Which was better? Was the debuting patch of the recent region, Lahai Roi, better? Or was the debuting patch of 2.0 and Renacita better? Now, this is going to be a conversation that I think a few people are going to have a little bit of a disagreement about. Some people's views are going to be different to other people's views. Some people's opinions are going to be different to other people's opinions, and that is okay. But today, we're going to be talking about what I think, and whether I think Renacita was better than Lahai Roi, or whether Lahai Roi was better than Renacita. Now, I know some people are going to have their certain views about this, and that's completely fine. That's completely fine. If you disagree with me, let me know down below in the comments what you agree with and what you disagree with, which region you think was better than the other, and let me know why. Without further ado, let's get into this. So, here we are over in Lahai Roi, and that's the first region we're going to be talking about. Since Lahai Roi is the brand new region, we're going to be talking about that region specifically. Jules, are you going to stay with me? No, he's going to go and leave for me to discuss my thoughts and feelings with you guys. But yes, Lahai Roi. I love Lahai Roi. I think Lahai Roi is a very, very, very good region. I think Lahai Roi is one of the best, if not the best regions, aesthetics-wise, in the entire game. I think it's beautiful. I think the landscape's interesting. I think the wildlife's interesting. I think the exploration in this region is very fun, especially with the motorbike. As you can see, I'm currently having a good time with the motorbike now. I'm having a very good time just simply riding around, enjoying the game, enjoying what Lahai Roi has to offer from an exploration standpoint. Now, when we go over to Renacita, I love the exploration in Renacita because I love the old school, distant dystopian kind of vibe. I like the fact that it feels a lot more old-fashioned. It feels a lot more traditional than futuristic, and that's something that I really, really like in Renacita. The flight versus the motorcycling. I'm not going to lie to you, the flight is amazing. The flying is amazing. It's fluent, it's fun, it crosses over the different terrains, the waters, the mountains, the different parts of the map very quickly, very efficiently, very well. It was a fine addition to Wuthering Waves when that became a thing in Wuthering Waves last year on January 2nd when 2.0 made its debut, when Renacita made its debut. Now with the motorbiking, I think the motorbiking is very, very fun, arguably more fun than the flying. Why? Because I feel a little bit more involved. I feel like it's a bit more gritty. I think I feel it more, you know? Like I feel the emotion from every jump and flip the bike does, from every drift that the bike does, from every ounce of acceleration and boosting the bike does. I feel a little bit more involved. I feel more immersed. I feel a little bit more attached to my bike, rather than the fact that we just got wings. They weren't customizable, they weren't personalized. It was just wings you had on your back, you flew across the region, and that's it. Where with the bike, you can customize it, you can do what you want with your own bike. As you can see, I made mine black and gold. There's no stickers at this present moment on the side of the bike, but the stickers I'm going for is the Sonic the Hedgehog and Shadow the Hedgehog stickers that you can get in Lahai Roi and in the events of Wuthering Waves 3.0, and you couldn't customize and personalize your wings as you could with your bike. Now granted, it was a very different time frame. Last year is different to this year. Things are different to how they are. Things are different now as they were back then. But I still believe the personalization and the customization of the motorbike in Lahai Roi is better than everything you could do in Renacita when it comes down to the wings. And again, like I said, I think the region in Lahai Roi is a little bit better. I think the landscape is more interesting, whereas the old-fashioned dystopian style that Renacita had, though it was charming and though it was captivating, I feel like though it was good and not bad at all, I feel a little bit more connected, and I feel like, granted, even though this is the more recent region that Kura Games have done, which has given them a lot more to think about because they've learned a lot from what people liked and disliked in Renacita, I don't know, I like the more vibrant colors, the futuristic theme, the roads, everything about this open world, I think, is better than what Renacita was when that released last year. Now, in terms of pros and cons, I think that's everything that I like more in Lahairoi than I liked in Renacita. Now, what did I like more in Renacita? Well, first things first, I actually liked the debuting story more in Renacita, and let me tell you why. The way you get involved in Renacita is you travel on a boat, the boat basically capsizes, something happens to your boat, and then this big whale thing attacks you. And that's how you get introduced to not one, but two of the brand new characters within the Wuthering Waves roster, being Brant and Rocha. I loved their involvement. And their introduction to the story and to the roster of Wuthering Waves. I think it was a very, very well done thing. I think, can I make it? Nope, I'm in the water. And as of right now, the bike can't go on water. But yeah, I think the introduction to Brant and Rocha was a very good implementation. I liked the fact that they were introduced in such a way where, even though the big whale thing and the big whale lord Kyogre looking monster in Renacita wasn't the main villain. It wasn't Threnodian, which I think a lot of people originally thought that was going to be Threnodian. It wasn't, but it was connecting to the story some way or another. And I like the fact that Brant and Rocha save you on their ship from the first moment you basically are in the waters, and the first moment you start the story. I like Carlotta. I like Carlotta a lot. I like the whole family aspects where you interact with both the Montellis and the Phasalias, and there's different things that happen between. There's feuds, there's conflicts when it comes down to the Phasalias and the Montellis, whereas in this there isn't really much conflict between different characters, simply because, well, it's a school. It's a school, you enroll in the school, you enroll in the college, and there are conflicts between you yourself and Lene, since Lene is very suspicious of you. Lene is very much umming and ahhing about who you really are. And that's something that I did like in Lahairoi. I like the fact that Lene was introduced by simply her shooting a Fractidus member in the back of the head. I liked how dark Lahairoi's story started. I like the chase that you have against the worm. I like the introduction to Threnodian within the first 5 seconds alongside Imeth, though at this point we didn't know who Imeth really was. I still like the introduction to all of the characters in Renacita better. Simply put, I like the fact that there was more characters in Renacita than there was. My cat, it needs me. My cat is going crazy. Anyway, where was I before my cat decided to want to go out? Yeah, I think the introduction to all of the characters in Renacita was better and more well done and well placed than Lahairoi. Granted, we haven't been introduced to all of the other characters in Lahairoi yet, but that's what I'm talking about. That's one of the main things I am talking about. We got introduced to near enough every single member of the Renacitan roster, whereas in Lahairoi, we still have so many characters that we need to introduce ourselves to, where I think Renacita did a very good job in introducing us to these roster of characters in Renacita. Like, from the moment we got there, obviously over the seas, when like I just said, we were introduced to Brant and Rocha. As soon as we landed in the city, as soon as we docked in the city, we were introduced to Carlotta, to Zani, to Phoebe, near enough all of the roster of characters that Renacita announced pre-2.0 compared to Lahairoi's roster of characters in 3.0. Now, that's an advantage that Renacita has, but also just the writing of the story in Renacita I preferred more. The mystery about who the mysterious maiden was, the fair maiden, who Carthea was. We didn't know who Carthea was at this point. We were just told she was the blessed maiden that was able to harness the power of both the Threnodian and the Sentinel, who fused them together to bring peace and prosperity to the land. And yeah, I really liked how that story was written. I think 2.0's story was better, but at the same time, we got 3 acts of the story, not 2. Frolova made a comeback, and the Fractors were a lot more present within the story of 2.0 compared to the Fractors and the main overarching villains in 3.0. 3.0 Part 2 with Monnier was a lot slower than what a lot of 2.0 was. I think Lene's story, Part 1 story, was better than Part 2 story with Monnier, and I liked Monnier's story. I liked the aspects of what Monnier's story had to offer, but also at the same time, I think Lene's story was a little bit better because it was the first opening patch to Lahai Roi. It was world building, it was character building, it was character development as well as world development. And there wasn't really a main villain of Lahai Roi. You had the Worm, you had the Void Worm, who was the main antagonist, but by antagonist I mean in Renacita we had the Fractors make a return with Frolova and Cristoforo's introduction. We also had the church. I forgot the name of the church, but we had those as kind of antagonist to Rova and the families and all of these other characters in Renacita. And I just think overall the story was a better written story and a better feeling adventure in Renacita than Lahai Roi was. Now, Echoes. I think the Echoes in Lahai Roi is better. I liked the futuristic animals that we see, as you can see ahead of me, the deers, compared to the bloody cuddly teddy bears that we got in Renacita. I think the teddy bears and some of the little cute Echoes were nowhere near as good as the futuristic Echoes that we are seeing in Lahai Roi. Now, another thing I think Renacita actually did better were the side stories. Remember the story, there's a side story when you do the explorations in Renacita, and that was the 3 nights. Do you remember? I'm not sure if you guys remember, there was a story where you basically encountered 3 different nights. The Various night, the Nocturnus night, and another night. And basically, once you complete all of these mysterious stories, you can go to a ruin. And there's a secret boss against an Echo, which basically tells the story of the 3 knights, the 3 swords of justice, and how it all connects to the region of Renacita, and how they were the protectors, and how they basically were in contact with all of these other characters from the past. And I think the lore and world building of Renacita was better than Lahai Roi. And that's not saying Lahai Roi was bad at doing them, it's just me saying that I think Renacita was... Sorry! Got honked at by the van. I think Renacita's story writing and lore building was better than what Lahai Roi has done. Now, 3.1 is right around the corner, which would technically put us at an equal match to 2.0, because 2.0 we had 3 acts. The 3rd act of Lahai Roi is coming with 3.1, but I'm talking about a debuting patch, and 2.0 has, in my opinion, the better story, and I believe, in my opinion, has the better introduction to characters and the character roster than Lahai Roi has. Whereas Lahai Roi has an advantage in the overall region and echoes and exploration and the mechanics of maneuverability. I think the motorbike, as I said, is better than the flight. I think the region in Lahai Roi is better than Renacita as a region. But I think the story in Renacita is better than Lahai Roi. I think the introduction to the characters, is better in Renacita than it was in Lahai Roi. And also, we got introduced to Carthea at the end of 2.0 after a very good climactic battle against Hecate and Frolova. It kind of felt like a conclusion to a mini arc, even though it's the start of something big of the region of Renacita. It felt like a conclusion at the same time, like a to be continued, but also a conclusion to a mini arc, because the first 3 acts of the second chapter, being the Renacitan chapter, felt concluded, where this one feels a little bit left open and doesn't feel concluded, and I think is going to feel more concluded when we meet Imeth in the next patch. I'm very, very much interested in Imeth, and very much interested in Imeth's history and who she is, and interested in seeing her entire story when 3.1 launches only in a matter of days now. But at this present moment, Imeth is meant to be the Cartothea of 3.0. She is the mysterious character that we see that is going to be a full connection to Rover. Just like Cartothea was a direct connection to Rover, Imeth is going to have the same kind of effect and the same relationship with Rover as Cartothea had with Rover in 2.0. At this present moment, I can honestly say I was more excited and more invested in 3.0, no, in 2.0, in Renacita, sorry, than I am in Lahairoi. That's my opinion. I think there was a lot of things done in Renacita that was better than so far Lahairoi, more specifically the debuting patch. But as I said, there are things in Lahairoi that are better. The region as a whole, the aesthetic of the region, the way the region is built, the way the exploration is in Lahairoi is better. The motorbike is better than the flying. The exploration and the look of the region is better than Renacita. I can't really say many things are better other than that, than the 2 things I've currently pointed out. Character designs, I think Monnier's design is very nice. I think Imeth's design is very nice. I don't remember any of the other drip marketing characters other than Luke, because Luke is also in the next patch. I can't really think of... I don't even remember who they really are unless I really brought up their drip marketing. I remembered every single character releasing in 2.0. From Carlotta, to Phoebe, to Zani, to Braun, to Rocha. I remember all of them. And then we also had Cantarella and Cartothea. I can't remember half the names of the characters other than the ones we've been introduced to and the ones we're getting introduced to in the next patch. And there's like a character that's like purplish and she has like a hat. I can't really remember who she is. There's like another character, I don't remember. I don't know. They're not interesting to me. I think, again, the character designs overall, I think, are better in Renacita, other than a few outliers like Monnier and Imeth. And maybe even Luke. I think Luke's a better designed male character than Brant was. I think Imeth's a very cool looking character. And I think she's a better designed character than Cartothea was, and I like Monnier. But Zani is still my number 1 character ever to release in Wuthering Waves. Carlotta, I think, still has one of the better designs in Wuthering Waves. I think Augusta is one of the best looking designed characters in Wuthering Waves. I'm controversial and think Cantarella is one of the worst designing characters in Wuthering Waves. And that is controversial. That's a hot take. I don't think Cantarella has a good design. I don't think Phoebe has a good design. I don't like Brant's design. This is my opinions. You can agree or disagree down below in the comments. But, yeah. There you have it. There you have it. Those are the main things off the top of my head that I think are better in 2.0 as a debuting patch than I do in 3.0 as a debuting patch. And those are things that I think Lahairoi is better at in their debuting patch than Renacita was in their debuting patch. I wanted just to talk to you guys and give my standpoint and points, especially since 3.1 is right around the corner. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of my points and thoughts and feelings. If you agree and disagree, feel free to tell me down below in the comments. I'm excited in seeing Imeth, I'm excited about seeing Luke, I'm excited about seeing the Exostrider's introduction with 3.1. And it's going to be a good ride. It's going to be good. I can't wait to experience the new story with you guys on February 5th. I'm also doing a PGR video. Yes, I'm doing Punishing Grey Raven content starting from February 1st, because that is when the new patch is going live with Horse Girl. I had the pleasure and privilege of doing a reaction to the new content with Grey Raven Radio, with Lena Sarah herself, who is the PGR girl. So yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed me just blabbering on to you about what I thought is better and worse in either or of the regions. None of them is a bad region. I think they're both good regions, but that's what I thought was better or worse than the other. But thank you so much for watching. I'll speak to you all in the next video. Take it easy and have a good rest of your day.